We'll get started here. Thanks everybody for joining into our year-end availability with head coach Mike Hasen and GM Dan Carey. When you ask your questions, just please make sure you're directing obviously who the question is for, or if it's for both of them. I'll get us going here with just a couple, and then after that, after I go, we'll have Adam step up to the plate. So, um, in saying that, uh, we'll start here with Hazer. Mike, as we talked throughout the season, there was a focus on taking a step forward, and it's really been a multi-year process. Did you feel your team was successfully able to do that following this season?
I think big picture, yeah, 100%. We took a big step forward. I just again the season as always is a roller coaster ride. But I think the maturity of our players and the understanding of what this league is about kind of came through in the second, actually throughout the year. And again, we had great results in the second half of the season. It just again just kind of shows their maturity, and as a group, they're starting to get it. Uh, so overall, 100%. Like they all became better players together. Or was another year of development, and they came through. They didn't come through. We didn't come through at the end of our very last game, but I think that's a little bit of again another lesson we got to learn, that especially in playoffs in that first round, we don't have a week to regroup. Right, like all year long, we were able to go back to practice Tuesday and regroup when we were a little bit off. It's a lesson that hopefully we all move forward with, is that one and done is actually one and done. You don't not your best that night. It is something that we do talk about when some try to prepare for, but we started slow and came back and competed for balance of the game. But it's you shoot yourself in the foot early, it's really hard to come back at this time of year, and there is no time to regroup. So that's a lesson that hopefully we're all going to move forward with, is that in playoffs we got to be at our best, and got to make sure we're preparing and we execute at our best.
Hazer, to kind of, I guess, immediately follow up on that, getting to the playoffs hasn't been the problem with you guys making it now 3 years in a row. It is getting out of that first round, like you said. These three losses, Buffalo, Toronto, Vancouver, over the 3 years, they feel like different teams. But is there something that all of them have in common that can be learned that got them past you guys in the postseason?
Yeah, you know what, you have teams, I think, as well in and through the course of the year and in this league, that you match up really well against. Albany per se, like for whatever reason we have Albany's number. It's just stylistically or what have you. Buffalo, Toronto, Vancouver this year, they have they got a complete package there. They got really good goaltending. They have big physical defense. And they have an offense that, like I say, different styles of offense, but they have an offense that works with their team, right? And I think we just got to remain. The lesson for us is that we got to remain consistent in what we are, uh, and we got to execute to what our potential is. I think at the end of the day, we had success, and again, I'll simplify it, and I think I've simplified a lot of things early or throughout this years. When we decide to penetrate and get through the middle and kind of work inside out as an offensive group, and defensively same thing, work inside out, like we're a very good team. It gives our goalies the ability to see ball well, and then sort of when we like I say, get out of that comfort zone a little bit, try to make up for an area, it just brings out too many holes, I guess, in our game. So long story short, we just got to believe in ourselves and execute to our level at the end of the day, and just continually do the little things that through the last half of the season that made us really successful. We got to continue to do that each and every shift.
Thanks, Hazer. Dan, I'll just have one question for you, and then we'll shift over to Adam. Um, you tend to be very active in constantly managing the roster and making decisions there through the draft, through free agency, through midseason acquisitions like Sisselberger. How did you feel the glue of this team came together and connected? Because from a regular season standpoint, it was the best finish this team's had under the current iteration of Knighthawks.
I think what I've learned in this job over the years is patience, and there's times where making decisions based on your roster because of performance isn't making the change isn't the best decision to make. So sometimes letting things play out, and we've got a young group still, and we've been saying that for a while, but if you look at our offense as a whole, we've got a couple veteran guys that are just great locker room guys, and they're good kind of the conduit between our staff and the younger guys. But in general, we've got a pretty young group there. Yeah, we've got young goaltending, as far as experience and age, and then our back end is kind of a good mix. So making decisions mid-season, are things that we always have to look to do, and we have to consider every opportunity, every option out there. But I think it says a lot about how we believed in this group and what we feel about them, and the experience. Thinking about it over the last week, it's not as cyclical as it may seem, or sorry, it's more cyclical than it may seem, because it's not a start and ending. Like, these guys now have to do what they can to get better, and what they're doing this next month coming up and the following month and going into the summer months leading up into training camp, that's where we need to get better. Not necessarily changes, and there's going to be every year there's always changes to the roster, but I think trying to be creative, trying to be active is always something that I'm willing to do. But we believed in this group, and I think that playoff game, we weren't our best, and hats off to Vancouver. They're a good team, and they gave Buffalo a hard time yesterday, but I still think that there's more for us to give. And I think sometimes going through those heartaches and those tough times, the roller coaster that Hasen mentioned earlier, having to go through some of that heartache is good. It's an important thing. It's something that you need to learn and overcome things. So I don't look at our season as something that we tried to do too much or made a bunch of different decisions. There was guys that earned spots on the roster and in the lineup, and we want to continue to bring guys like that in to push for spots on this roster to make this team better. So usually willing to be active and making decisions sometimes is not making moves at all.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Okay, let's go ahead and shift around here with some of you asking questions. Adam, we'll start with you. The floor is yours.
Thanks so much, Andrew. So, Coach, I'll start with you here. You guys have really been kind of building a core here. Dan has been a part of that, and Ryan Lanchbury was a really huge breakout star for you. When you think about this evolving offensive core that you have, and what the future kind of brings for your team, how impressed have you been with the evolution, and how promising is the future?
Yeah, no, I've been very impressed. Like, say, as Dan mentioned, and it's a given. Like, we are still fairly young, and while these guys have played a lot of lacrosse over the years, they're still trying to figure out their identity in this league. And I think as a group, we started to figure out what we are as far as the Rochester Knighthawks group is that we, like I say, we're fast, we're high volume shooters. We got to play with a bit of pace. And when we settle, we make it easy, right? Fieldsy has, talk about the three main core guys. Like I say, you go through everybody. Fieldsy has developed his game so much further than he was when he first got here. Is he sees the floor well. He's got great feet. He puts anybody that's defending him on skates, and he can get his shot off anytime. but he's developed his game to a level where our righties are so much more involved now, and it just makes us better. Smitty is a beast. He is last year, this year, he's put himself from last year to this year. He put himself into some much better shape that he's able to handle a lot of pressure. Ball carrier, banging, Lanchbury again, just another tool there that makes it easier on Smitty as well, where the ball doesn't have to be in Smitty's stick all the time. He sees the floor well. He finds that open guy, lefty righty. He just opens up the floor. And if you're going to gap on him, he's going to score. T-Mac, T-Mac does a lot of heavy lifting for us. He sets really hard picks for us, and he's got such great hands and such great finish and such great vision. Like, you can just go on. Waters sets great picks, but and open in the middle, he's usually, like I say, he's money. Niter, just Mr. Everything for us at the end of the day. He plays a great offensive shift, but he's so responsible. Turner Evans as well does a lot of great things, does heavy lifting, banging, does the smart thing, the right thing every single shift. And Hogger there, just a young guy coming in with lots of energy and pushing guys around. Like as a group there, they were really good, and their identity is coming. They're not done growing into their game and growing into Nighthawk game, which is I think again very promising. Long-winded answer, but there's a great future for this core here. And you know what? And as long as they keep pushing themselves and they continue to grow and develop, they're going to reach a point where they're going to be unstoppable.
And so this next question, your answer might overlap with what you kind of just answered, but after that loss to Vancouver, what was kind of the overarching message to the group?
Basically, don't take that shift for granted, right? Like, we got to make the most of the opportunity of each and every shift. Like, let's not settle defensively, offensively, in transition, goaltending. Let's just not settle for being okay. Because again, I thought Vancouver was able to take advantage of us being okay. We got to make sure we're not just okay, we're at our best.
And then just final one for you, Coach. We always talk about like the star players. We mentioned Lansbury, Smith, and Fields and guys like that. Who are a couple of guys that maybe we haven't talked about this year that now looking back at the full season, you're like, wow, that guy, didn't get the credit he deserves. He really stood out, and he's going to be a bright part of the future.
Again, you look at our rookies. I guess they're for the most part Jake Bassino and Graydon Hogg. Like, there's two guys that again, we had penciled to be on our roster at some point, but there are two guys that, especially in actually both cases, that were kind of said they had to be on the floor. They just took their game and they learned, and they were sponges, and they executed well for a rookie season. Beyond that, and again, I think for us as well is for me anyways is Hutchie. Like you say, he gave us the opportunity, and then he played his game early in the season where we're in the playoffs because of him as well, right? Like, he settled in, and when Hearts got hurt early in that part of the year, like, he held the fort down for us, and he was really good. And I know he got some accolades for it outside of our locker room, but in our locker room, he was one of the glue guys that gave us that opportunity to be where we were.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Coach, for everything this entire year. Just a couple more for you, Dan. When we talk about the future, and we're talking about some glue guys in the locker room, it's hard to find a bigger glue guy than the captain, Dan Coates, who missed some time this year. He is also coming up to be an unrestricted free agent over the off season. Have you started any kind of communications about creating a new contract with him? Kind of, where does that stand? And do you see him as a future part of this team?
No, we have not talked about that yet. Dan and I have worked together since, well, I guess 2015 in Colorado, for 2 or 3 years there, 3 or 4 years, and then he's been with us for the last few. So we have a great relationship. Respect the heck out of him, and tremendous leader, professional. He's one of those guys that you just want on your team. I feel bad for Dan. He's had some pretty tough luck over the last few years as well. He's had multiple different injuries. He dealt with some personal kind of sickness and things that we've had to kind of see and watch him go through, that you just don't want to see anybody to have to deal with. So unfortunate that we had to play without him this year. He was still there. He's got such a great voice. He's got such a great mind for the game, and amazing teammate. So he's a guy that we really value a ton, and feel bad that he wasn't able to have a full season with us. But he does a lot of little things that, even if he's not on the floor, that can help us. So that'll be happening for sure for us to have that discussion. And he's a guy that I just want to see happy and doing what's best for him. So we'll have that discussion at some point. And I know he's never in a rush when it comes to making that decision. He's pretty calculated in what he does and his decisions as well. So I know he loves it here. He's had outside of the injuries, it seems to be something that he's enjoyed and had a good experience. So we'll have that conversation at some point and figure out what works for both of us.
Similar question, but a guy that's a little bit older and has logged a few more years in the league, in Ian Lord. Obviously, he's puts himself in front of so many shots and is an absolute warrior out on the floor. He's been around the league for a while. Do you expect that this could be the end for him, or do you think that there's a way that he can stick around for as long as possible? Or if he decides to retire as a player, do you think that there's a spot for him somewhere in the organization?
Again, same thing. There's a lot that just we have to go through those discussions. Hazer's had a lot of experience with Lordy over the years in the summer and as well the NLL. So I'm fortunate to have worked with him this year. Again, another true professional guy that just brings a lot to our team. And we talk about the youth and some inexperience, and we've got a group now, especially in the back end, that has a few years under their belt, and some guys that have played more. But just having him on our roster, having guys see what he does to prepare, and you mentioned soaking shots, all those little things that he just kind of goes through as a competitor. It rubs off on guys. So it's something that I feel fortunate for us to have brought him in, and him willing to play here with us this year. The future is something that we'll have to discuss, and he's going to have to make a decision. I know the way he plays and soaking shots and all that, it can't be easy on the body. So I'm sure that'll be a big part of it too, whether he wants to continue to go through that grind. And he's a guy that keeps himself in great shape too, so that's not always easy. But yeah, that we haven't had the discussion. I'm sure it'll happen over the next few weeks.
And then just finally for you, it is an interesting situation because you guys keep getting in the playoffs, and you keep adding great pieces. There's a lot of young pieces that are developing now. So, when you look at kind of this off season, I mean, there's a ton of restricted free agents. You guys have some of the unrestricted free agents like we've talked about, but is this kind of a year where you say we've put in a lot of work. We have a lot of great pieces here. They're showing a lot of promise and improvement. There's not a lot of movement to be done here.
Yeah, again, I think overall we try to take a step back and assess where we're at. Playoffs are it's difficult. It's a really tough league to win in, and I think you can look at Buffalo as that team that they've won the last two. They've been in a couple before that. They're a championship tested and proven team. So I personally put them above everybody else. And then Sask had a great year. There's a lot of teams, but I think there's a group there that can kind of compete with each other. And and at any given night, you're able to win those games. And I don't think our league has always been that way. So there's a lot of parity. We want to win. Like that's our goal, and it is getting frustrating. We don't look at this as a team that's the last 15 years we've been in the playoffs and we lose in the first. That's not how we're looking at this. We're using this experience as some fuel and to help us understand where we're at. If we play them the next night, maybe it's a different story, maybe not. But I feel like there's a lot of growth that we've had, and I'm not looking at this as we got to make a bunch of changes with our group. We talk about, let's just go back to our offense. You've got even those 3-4 guys. You've got Fields, McConvey on the left side, and you've got Ryan Smith and Ryan Lansbury, and the other guys are important as well. But if you stick with those 4 guys, like, they're getting better. Next year they will be better than they were this year, and I don't think that's the case for other teams. So to try and stay with that mindset of, hey, we got to add more free agents, we expect those guys to be better than they were. Thomas McConvey will be another 10 goals better next year. So that's kind of our expectation. And you hit a ceiling, you hit a point where, how many loose balls and goals and points is Connor Fields able to get? Can he, like, what's realistic? And I think, again, there's a lot of growth potential with him, Smitty, all those guys, Graydon Hogg, the guys who are with our team. There's a lot of potential to be better with the existing roster that we have, just because we haven't peaked. These guys aren't at that age where they're now kind of at their peak and they're trending in the other direction. It's on the way up. So to me, that's the way we look at it. I don't look at this as something that, we got to make changes, we got to add a bunch of. It's not that case. And we're some guys that, if there's a better player available to make our team better, absolutely going to explore that. And that's our expectations. And I think our guys want that too. But there's enough in that locker room that if everybody gets a little bit better for next year, then we're going to be a better team. And I don't know if that's the case for a lot of teams with some of the veterans and that. So again, I think that's our mentality. We're going to continue to evaluate and explore what we have and trying to figure out if there's a great fit. But the culture too is a big part of it. We have a fantastic group of men in that locker room that are just people that get it, and they all have a lot of different personalities. But when it comes to our locker room and our organization, those guys are bought in and they're all there for the right reasons. So it has to be the right person if we're bringing guys in.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dan. And thank you, everybody, for the entire year. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to Ian Mills. Ian, the floor is yours for both Hasen and Dan Carey.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I just got one question. I appreciate all the questions beforehand, but for Coach Hasen, I'm curious because obviously you've been here, in the past as a player, and I'm curious how you've seen the city and fan base sort of embrace the team over the years. How have you seen that relationship grow and develop through the last couple of years?
Yeah, no, it's definitely growing, and I think if you look at the last franchise that was here versus this one, I think this one here was like I say, we weren't able to, from what I understand, capitalize on a lot of things that the old group left. They took a lot of things that we were basically starting over, not just on a roster, on the whole back end side of things as well, right? So guys saw the team leave and thought we were gone, and the diehards were still on. But anyways, long story short, when you win, they come back, right? When you compete, they come back. And the progress of us, wins and losses aside, is we got a really hardworking team. I think the city itself can really buy into that. And now we started getting success. So the outside, the casual guy is taking a little bit of a notice to us a little bit more now, right? So we're growing and we're developing, on floor, off floor, and we're going to continue to do that, because me personally, as a player, like I always thought, they keep us accountable. They put that little extra add pressure on us, and I think it's starting to come back that way. And I like it as a competitor. You like that pressure. You want to make sure. We always talk about it. You do your best for when your family and friends there. The city of Rochester is a big part of what we are, and we want to make sure we're impressing them and making them, give them a reason to come out and enjoy the night and enjoy what we're putting on the floor.
That's all I got. I appreciate you guys.
All right, Ripper. I think you're the one to take us home here. You got anything? Oh, maybe Ian. Maybe you ended up taking us home. Craig, are you there? Going once, twice. All right. All right, guys. That will end our year-end media availability. Hazer, Dan, we appreciate everything you guys have done all season, and look forward to a fun off season to get us going here for the 25-26 campaign. So appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for the time as well throughout the season.
Yeah,
I
thanks,
truly
everyone.
appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one, everybody.